Hello, and welcome to our weekly digital strategy chat brought to you by Denver Data Web. We're a digital marketing company. We help our clients overcome unique challenges with a goals-focused approach to web development, web design, digital marketing, and SEO. My name is Sarah Joswiak. I'm the digital marketing analyst at Denver Data Web, and with us we have Justin.
Hi, I'm Justin Goldman. I'm the web design and developer here at Denver Data Web.
And today we're actually going to talk about Hotjar, which is a valuable tool we use all the time. Hotjar is good for analyzing and improving the user experience of your website. If you've ever had a situation where you have a landing page linked to some ads and it just doesn't bring in the leads that you want, you can see that people are visiting it when you look at your analytics and your just ads data. And you may even find that they're spending some time on that page. So what are you missing? What are they not doing? Heatmaps let you take a look at that, let you look one step further and really get into the specifics of what's happening on that page. Maybe there's some areas that you can improve or to just help improve the overall experience of that page for your visitors. And then in turn, hopefully you end up helping turn some of those visitors into customers. So first off, Justin, what is a heat map?
So in Hotjar, heat maps are defined as like a graphical representation of how a user is interacting, scrolling, and using your website or not using your website. So inside of the graphical representation, it's basically broken out into different heat map colors. I don't like colors. It goes from I believe red is the highest. It's been clicked a lot, and it goes down to like yellow, green, stuff like that. And we'll actually show you an example of that here in a minute. But yeah, that is they're easy to understand. They're visually complex, and it's just taking a look. You can set it up for each page to have a heat map on your site, and we're going to dive deeper into how to set up that tracking and stuff later on. But that is what a heat map is.
Also, say hi to your puppy.
Yeah, she is. The mailman just came by.
Everyone in Denver has dogs. Almost everyone on our team has dogs. So occasionally they like to make their presence.
Should be quiet.
So that's really cool. So can you kind of give some examples on how to use heat maps to analyze and enhance the user experience of your website?
So yeah, like I explained just a minute ago, it's kind of finding out how a user is interacting with your site or not interacting with your site. So if the user is actually reaching the important content that you're trying to get your user to read. So say if your content's halfway down your page, you can actually see if a user is actually scrolling down to that section. You can find and maybe see if users are actually clicking on links or buttons or a form on your site. You can see if a user is getting distracted by non-clickable elements. So maybe we've actually seen this a lot that users try to select headings and stuff like that when they're not actually a link. So trying to understand how a user is getting distracted on your page and how you can fix that. And then experiencing issues across devices and stuff like that. So if it'll actually give you a screenshot of how the user, well, this is more, I guess, for the screen recordings. This kind of gives you an idea of how a user's, your site looks like on a user's browser. So you can actually identify, issues with mobile responsiveness or layout issues and stuff like that.
Cool. Because yeah, absolutely. When you're looking at something on your phone and then on your computer, stuff can look really different. And when you're designing the page, I mean, you should go ahead and look at those things right away, but we don't have every device there is. So it's good to be able to see that from other people's perspective as well.
Exactly.
Awesome. So let's dive into our heat map tool, Hotjar, what we decided to focus on today. And Hotjar, they've changed a lot of stuff for 2021. They've made some really good improvements. Can we go into what's changed and maybe some details on that as well? Maybe you can even share.
Yeah, and I do want to mention that we did write a blog post that you can go check out on our website that is basically goes over a lot of the updates to the continuous heat maps. You can find that on our blog. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can actually take a look at what Hotjar actually looks like. If you want to pull that up, it's already shared here. So here is Hotjar's homepage, and this is what your dashboard would look like if you were logged in. Over here on the analytics side, you're going to see heat maps recordings. If we go ahead and click on heat maps, you can see this is a new dashboard for continuous heat maps. You can see it's in beta currently. If we switch back over to the manual heat maps, this is how this used to work. Is you would add a page for your site, and you would say, okay, here's the page I want to be tracked for heat maps, and it would just track people viewing that page and then kind of lay the data over that screenshot. How the new heat maps work is it actually goes based on what your session targeting is set up inside of your account settings. And then also, you don't have to set up a heat map for it. It kind of just automatically generates data over time for you. So you don't have to kind of come back to it and say, oh, one of the issues we ran into was like if we made an update to a page, say one of our service pages, we moved some things around, we would have to go in and create a new heat map. With this, you don't have to do that. It's going to continue to apply data over that. And you can just use a date range to filter out what data you want to see.
So one of the things that we ran across with that already, Justin, is that if we want to analyze how a page performs before and after those changes, it's going to be more difficult with this. Or did we find a workaround?
I think the only way, like I mentioned here, I think the only way that I've found a way to do that is to, inside of these heat maps, you can kind of use the date picker and say, we just have to make note of when that change was made. And then we can kind of just, use this date picker to kind of filter the data out by that. Now, I would like to see them adding something like an actual date picker where we can say, I want to see from March 14th through the 20th. That way we can say we deployed our changes on the 14th, so we don't want to see any data before that, or we can filter that data in two different chunks.
We want to cross compare before and after. Well, that sounds really great. Can we pull up one and see what it actually looks like?
Yeah, of course. And let me pull up the one that we have saved, and I think that here is the contact us page. This is one of our heat maps, active heat maps.
Also, sorry to interrupt you. To clarify, can we go over the different things that we're going to look at? Scroll up just a little bit so I can get the right terminology. The click, I can't read. Click, move, and scroll. We want to go over each of those and how they're different.
Yeah, and then also you can actually see it on different devices too. So if you wanted to see tablet or mobile, you could click those too. So what we're actually seeing right now is desktop and click data. So this is how many users are actually clicking on different things throughout your site, such as your services or your our work links in the main menu. Or as we scroll down, you can see that a lot of users have clicked on this name form field, which has 49 clicks total. But you can see that people are actually filling out our form. And that's what we want to see, is users getting down here and actually filling out the form. The next thing that we can take a look at is the move data, and this one's really interesting here, but this is how a user's mouse is kind of moved across the screen, and kind of the hot spots of where their mouse kind of sits and goes. And this is kind of all generated by, all of these heat maps are generated by sessions, like a group of sessions. So this one's out of 100 sessions. Not necessarily 100 users, but 100 sessions total. And like we talked about, the hot here, the red, is where a lot of people have clicked, and the cold area is where not so many people, and sorry, this is the move data, so where people have moved. The next one is the scroll data, and this gives you an idea of how much a user has scrolled down a page. You can actually hover over the image, and it'll actually give you an idea of the percentage of users or visitors that have reached that point. As you can see, 100% of users have reached this. And the reason why that is because this is the above the fold view for most screen sizes. So,
and for those who are tuning in who don't necessarily know what a fold is, can we explain that real quick too?
Yeah, so above the fold is basically what is seen as soon as a browser loads without any scroll. So you can see if I was to load this page, a user would just see this red part the majority of the time. If you have a larger screen, you might see a little bit more down here. See if you see the, let me see, it might be hiding. There we go. Right here it says average fold. So that's the average size of a user's screen fold. Scrolling down, you can see as we scroll, these colors start to get a little bit more cold, because that's users not actively making it down this far. We're not seeing a lot of people get to the bottom of this page. 50% is pretty good, but you can see that it's not 100% of people aren't making it to the bottom. Some people are going to load this page and immediately back out and not scroll, which counts to this data.
And we were talking earlier how the colors kind of almost seem backwards, that the red would almost mean that it's stop and then green means go. But if you think of it as a heat map, the heat part is going to be the warmer colors, and then the cooler colors are going to be not as heated colors. So I thought that was interesting that we had brought that up earlier. Yeah. So Justin, this seems really, really helpful for things like not only user experience for a site like ours, but for e-commerce. This seems like it would be invaluable. Yes, that word. It's one of those words that means its own opposite. So it's funny to use anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I think anybody who has a site that they value, that is making income or any kind of is using the site to its fullest, I think it is important to have Hotjar on your site, or some kind of heat mapping tool, so that you are collecting this data so you can understand how a user is actually using your site, and make informed changes.
Cool. So that being said, we went over just the heat map portion of it. Can we bring up some of the recordings and how we might use that to improve the user experience on those pages?
Of course, yeah. Let me go ahead and jump back over here to the main dashboard and click on recordings. I just want to give you guys a little bit information about how the recordings look and how you can view them. I do have 2 recordings pulled up already that we'll take a look at in a minute. So taking a look, and I did not click that. So taking a look at the list of recordings here, this basically gives a live video of a user using your website. That's pretty cool that they're able to do this. That's insane. So what I'm going to show you is that you can filter by many things here. You can filter by visited URL, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but a lot of the things, what we use is the favorite. So we usually favorite a lot of the Hotjar recordings that we feel are valuable. And I have those pulled up here, but to see a recording, you just hit this play button, and as soon as you hit that play button, a new window will pop up, and it'll look like this. And this looks pretty similar to your standard media player. You're just going to hit play, and you can actually see the user move around on your site with their mouse, click on things, read things.
It looks like they're highlighting what they're reading.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's kind of a common thing for a user to do as they're browsing a site, is highlight things or just kind of click on things randomly. Just some people just click, some people just highlight. That's kind of the things that we've kind of learned.
Concentration thing. You're like, I'm going to look at this. Now I want to focus on this. I do that.
Yep. So
nice.
one of the things that I wanted to mention is that I'm going to play this again. Is that this is one of our older screen recordings. This was back in February. One of the things that we noticed is that users had to scroll quite a bit to get to these this list of kind of these main things that we're focusing on for this page. And I'll show you in the next recording that we have kind of an updated version of a landing page that you can see that we've kind of moved these bullet points up to above the fold, kind of what we talked about earlier, so that they are kind of seen immediately by the user and they don't have to scroll as far. And that's kind of one of the things that, and you can see he still scrolled past them, but they're at least up there for the user who does want to see them.
She. It could be a she.
Yes. So another change that we made was you can see that this user backed out of our landing page, and they actually clicked on our escape hatch, which is the Nimmer Data logo. They get push us back to our main website. But that's one of the things that we actually changed also, is the not giving the ability for a user to leave our landing page. because our main goal for the user is to, read about our services on our landing page here and contact us for some more information. And that's our main goal for this page. So we don't really want anybody leaving this page. So these are some of
the to clarify, the landing pages come from what? It's not just a regular result on Google.
So our landing pages are specifically set up for our Google Ads and Facebook our Facebook ads. These are pages that aren't necessarily Google searchable. These are really just focus pages for people that are landing on our site for our ads.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very low funnel type of thing that people are already looking to purchase, and so we're funneling them to the landing page.
Correct, and that's why we really don't want them to kind of leave this page. We want them to they're already kind of in that funnel, so getting them to fill out the form is really the next step. And then, but yeah, like I was saying, that these kind of changes that we have kind of incorporated into our landing pages are the exact same things that you could be getting from these recordings and heat maps using Hotjar or some kind of heat map tool. It helps you make informed decisions on some of the data that you're able to collect.
One thing that I'm noticing is these are very, very fast. Like, it seems like the person is kind of zooming around. Can you explain, although I see that the session time is almost 15 minutes, is there something that you have on to make that easier?
Yeah, exactly. So down here in the bottom, we can actually skip pauses, and that's what I usually have on here. But if we were to, just sit here and watch this guy's or girl's whole interaction, it would be very, very slow, because whoever landed on this page did take their time. And my guess is we talked about this. They could be opening up multiple tabs, multiple ads. They could be seeing ads from different web development companies. So they're kind of just scoping it out and kind of leaving it open to do a little bit of research.
Well, that is really interesting. So I guess one concern that I would have is that we're on our website every day. So is there a way so that we don't end up with dozens and dozens of sessions of us just perusing and editing our website?
Yeah, and as you know, this is something that happens to us sometimes, or has happened in the past. And it's very easy to kind of just block your IP address from being recorded. And one thing that you have to make note of is that your IP address, if your router restarts, your internet goes down, or something like that, your IP address is going to change. So this is something that you would need to update on a regular basis. But you can go into your site's organization, site settings, and go all the way down to IP blocking, which I don't know if we want to show all of our IP addresses. So
probably not.
So you would just go down there and add your IP address in there, and then save. There's actually a button at the bottom that says add my IP address, and you can click that button, and it'll automatically assign your IP address to one of the fields, and you can just save from there.
That's cool. What about, and here's one that I know we run into a lot. We tend to get a lot of traffic on our blogs from all over the world, and it's not necessarily people that are going to convert and become customers. It's more just people who are going to our blogs for information about their own marketing or just advice. Is there a way to maybe eliminate or just filter out those views so that we don't end up with like dozens and dozens of sessions that we don't necessarily need?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so there's a way to set up session tracking on a per page basis, and that's exactly how we have it set up currently. Like you said, we really don't want to be tracking any blog page views just because they're not very valuable to the data that we're trying to analyze. Now that might change in the future, but at this time, we just want to target some of our service pages, and mostly like our home page, our work page, and our landing pages. Excuse me. And then, so what we want to do is go over here to the same place that we were looking at for the IP blocking. we want to go to session targeting and tracking. Once you expand this, you can see below that we have a list of pages here. And these pages match with what the pages we want heat maps and recordings to be done on.
And then we have the URL starts with, and that one's different because then we can factor in like all of our landing pages, like that one. I think we have one that's all of our service pages in there.
Yes.
Cool. And so in order to like eliminate those blog pages where we get the less quality traffic, we would just not include it in this list.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, we would not include it. And if you want to, like you said, capture a whole directory, you would just use URL starts with. And there are a lot of different ways you could do this here. These are just the ones that we are working with.
That's really cool. Well, cool. I am gonna stop sharing the screen now so that we can just kind of talk over just ways that you would, reasons that you would use Hotjar. Is like, because it's user experience. We want people to really interact with our website in a meaningful way. Suddenly I'm losing my train of thought. I apologize. Happens with live sessions. But yeah, I mean, is there any other reason that you would use Hotjar besides to improve your user experience? Was there any maybe something else that you would catch with that would help with your website overall?
I'm sure there are. Coming to mind right now, not. I can't think of anything at the moment, but I'm sure there are 100 different ways that you could be using Hotjar. These are how we are using it here.
I guess what I was getting at is like, if a page isn't working properly, that may be something that you can catch using the recorded sessions, especially.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes in with the whole what we talked about with the mobile, issues and experiencing issues across devices. Yeah, you would be able to catch those technical issues from desktop to mobile.
Yeah, and I guess that really goes along with user experience as well. Well, great. I mean, that is all really, really helpful. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about that, Justin?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I think we went through ways of, filtering and taking a look at heat maps and Hotjar, and gave pretty good examples of, how those can be used and examples of, real world data. So I think we covered it pretty good.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we've covered a lot today. We've kind of nearing the end of our time, but look for our digital strategy chat each week at this time on Fridays. Be sure to check out our website at denverdata.com, our YouTube channel, which you can find by searching Denver Data Web on YouTube or visiting denverdataweb.com/YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and you all have a great weekend.
Bye.